Tonight, the U.S. Supreme Court upholding the federal law that bans domestic abusers from owning firearms.
This is a powerful step.
In a nearly unanimous 8-1 ruling, both conservative and liberal justices finding that barring people with restraining orders from possessing guns is consistent with the Second Amendment. Chief Justice John Roberts adding, since the founding, our nation's firearm laws have included provisions preventing individuals who threaten physical harm to others from misusing firearms. The case was brought by Zaki Rahimi, ordered to stay away from his then-girlfriend in 2020 after he physically assaulted her and threatened to shoot her. A Texas court found he posed a credible threat to her physical safety. He's still behind bars. Justice Sotomayor today pointing to estimates showing a woman who lives in a house with a domestic abuser is 5 times more likely to be murdered if the abuser has access to a gun. Justice Thomas, the lone dissenter, not disputing the danger posed by Rahimi, instead arguing, in the interest of ensuring the government can regulate one subset of society, today's decision puts at risk the Second Amendment rights of many more.
I was in an abusive relationship.
But domestic abuse survivor Audrea Maltzberger is praising the court's decision. She and her 3 children escaped her abuser nearly 20 years ago.
I get choked up.
Today, emotional at the thought of what could have been her fate.
Sadly, to an abuser, this is just a piece of paper. But to victims of domestic violence, it's peace of mind. It's a sigh of relief that we can move on and we don't have to look over our shoulders.
And Laura, we are still waiting on some big rulings from this court.
Yes, Lester, the justices still have more than a dozen cases left outstanding this term, including whether the former president is immune from any prosecution at all, one that could upend hundreds of cases against January 6 rioters, and yet another significant abortion-related case, Lester.
All right, Laura Jarrett, thank you. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.